There we go. We're live. I need to move that our basin for the cool waters is like just in the camera. So let me see if I can get it just out of view of the camera. I think that did. Yeah, there we go. Just did it. Yeah, then I think we're at an angle, but we're live. Yeah, we're back to our regular schedule, Friday nights.
Somewhere between 8 and eternity, but
Well, you know, it's just one of those things.
yeah, and I say that jokingly and lovingly because you guys, she starts getting ready for service about 2 hours beforehand most of the time. So believe me, when she's late, she's not sleeping.
Yeah. Well, sometimes things come up, but there we go. We're here, and it's funny. If anybody remembered all the cicadas that you could hear when we were outside broadcasting on Tuesday, that's what you hear outside until just a few minutes before we start here. It actually starts to get dark, and they start to quiet down a little bit. But we actually had one of them get in the house today, and so we had to shoot outside.
Yeah, I escorted it outside. It was on my legs. So.
Yeah. Cicadas are harmless. They don't look it because they're really big, and they're just they're.
But they don't mean a thing.
Yeah, they're part of the South. Actually, what's funny is the kites.
Yeah.
The little they're like little mini hawks. They eat the cicadas. And so, actually, because there's a lot of them on the LSU campus here in town, you'll see the hawks, the kites circling, and they're eating the cicadas.
Wow.
Yeah, and when you see how big they are, it's like, oh yeah, it's like they're eating sliders for birds.
Yeah.
Oh, was that Shannon?
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, let's go ahead and get started because I see hi Sarah and of course Kid Fox and Sarah Keckaway, Irrelv. They Sarah Keckaway says the cicadas try to dive bomb you. Is the cicadas try to dive bomb you or the kites? But yeah, they're I don't know, they're an interesting thing, but yeah, I noticed a lot of people were like, wow, those cicadas are loud when we were outside. And yeah, I guess you kind of get used to it when you live here. But it's interesting because I know we have folks that tune in from all over the world, and you might never hear something like that if it weren't for that. But it's fun. So we had our official New Year's observance on Tuesday, but tonight we're doing Paret Sapdut, the emergence of Sapdut, which of course is Sirius. And I know you're thinking it, Darren.
What?
Making a joke about Sirius, but just
seriously, I was not.
Yeah. But anyway, in Egypt it will be coming up before dawn come the end of the weekend, around July 25th or thereabouts. So from that point of view, from where they're at, and anybody who's in that time zone, the astronomical start of the year would be this weekend. It's just that we observe it on specific days so that everybody can kind of stay in sync. There are other folks that will observe it locally whenever it shows up for them, and so their private observances will be on a different day. But officially over Egypt, it'll be this weekend. So we're doing emergence of Sapdut. So, and the funny thing is, one of actually, there's a couple of different sources that mention and list the different deacons because they each had names, and of course it changed is when they were, observed, what order they were over the course of ancient history, because precession of the equinoxes was a thing even then. When you're talking about like 2,000 years of history before, present era, that's a lot of time for the calendar to start to slip and for things to fall out of sync. So they had to reorganize it over time. There's differences between the Middle Kingdom version and the New Kingdom one in the late period. But I'm working on trying to figure out what deacon would be uh, technically, coming up for our area. And it would probably be one associated with constellation Orion. So something fun that's a little project I'm working on. You can ask Darren. I'm sitting there playing with my phone apps at like 5 o'clock in the morning. What are you doing? So that's
only because I'm curious. It's not anything judgmental.
Yeah. I know. I was kind of playing it up a little bit, but yes. To Darren's credit, he's usually more curious than he is reproving.
I don't recall very many times in 27 years that I've reproved much of anything.
Maybe mild brief approval, but I'll let you, step out, and when you come back in, we'll give you some cool waters. So you might want to grab some napkins. Okay. This is the ones. So the cicadas in Utah are mean. Oh wow. Okay, Sarah, I haven't tuned in forever due to stress and moving to a different city. Well, you know what? Moving to a different city would cause stress for anybody. Moving period is stress. So we totally can appreciate that, and we're glad to have you back. And hey, you can start the new Kemetic year with us. So it's all good. And I hope that stress is beginning to subside, and that you're able to get settled in and be more comfortable. So we will do what we can to help with that. And I apologize if there's the sound of rushing air or something like that. It's 1,000 degrees outside, so we have to have all the fans going, so we don't melt inside. So if it affects the audio quality, just let me know and we'll turn it down. These cool waters are upon my hands, and they purify me. Tefnut purifies me. Hail unto you, Anuchuru. We come unto you without falsehood and without evil. Just in time. Our purity is upon our hands. Our purity is within our hearts. And we have cast out all evil that pertains to us. We are pure. We are pure. We are pure. We are pure. Come here, you. Hey, come here. Stop that. Come here. I'm trying to dry you off.
You cheated.
You were too.
I was not. I didn't reload.
No, you were trying to keep flicking even as I was driving you, trying to dry you up.
I was blessing you.
Apparently, you needed extra purification.
Yeah. All right. Come in peace, bright eye of Horus. Come in peace. Receive the light.
Receive the light.
There we go. I'm just kind of sheltering it from the air currents until it gets good and set. This eye of Horus shines like Ra in the twin horizons, and evil hides in fear of it. Receive the light.
Receive the light.
The eye of Horus destroys the enemies of Ra and all of their abodes, till none remain. Receive the light.
Receive the light.
The eye of Horus comes to the four corners of the world. To everyone who is tuning in with us right now, and will be joining us in the future. This eye of Horus comes, and we are purified with it. Receive the light.
Receive the light.
Receive the light.
And we will light our candle for Sekhmet. And, of course, Sekhmet being a guardian of the transition into the new year, we ask for her continued blessing and protection and healing. And we have a new candle for the year, our torch of the year. And this one has some artwork of Mafdet. So she's going to be joining our Enid, as it were. So we will light this candle for her. Hail, O Mafdet, the great feline, foremost in the mansion of life, great fetterer who protects Ra from his wicked foes. You cut out the heart of the evil one, because that's what she does. She's not a lioness. She's another kind of wild cat. But what she does is what all good cats do. They go after snakes. You leap at the serpent's neck. You strike at its face with your claws. Your knife severs its head. You crush the snake under your heel. You open your mouth wide against the enemies of Ra. You set your teeth and your knives against them. Protect us who are in the following of Ra, and defend us as you defend the Lord of all. You arise in the Akhet as Kepri, O Ra, spreading your light upon the earth. You set in peace in the mountains of Manu as a tomb, bringing your light to Duat. Shine upon earth as you do in heaven and Duat. Hail and praise unto you, O Ra, who came from Nun at the first time, for such is your uniqueness. Hail and praise unto you, O Ra, who placed Hu at your left side, for such are the words you commanded. Hail and praise unto you, O Ra, who placed Sia at your right side, for such is your great wisdom. Hail and praise unto you, O Ra, whose Hika goes before you, for such is your ability. Hail and praise unto you, O Ra, who rules with Ma'at upon your brow, for such is your righteousness. Hail and praise unto you, O Ra, and hail and praise unto you, O Aset, the great, in your aspect as Samtut, the one who brings forth the inundation. Hail and praise unto you, O Yunuchidu, you lords of life and lords of love. Grant us life well being, and health. May our eyes perceive your goodness, and our hearts receive your wisdom. May you shine upon us as you traverse the sky, that we may bring to you Ma'at and cast out his fet. And may you guard us from the evil one through the dark hours of the night, your protection being before us, and your strength being within us. Take these, your cool waters, which are the inundation, that they may cool your hearts. Ora, Aset, Leonetrudu. These cool waters are the eye of Horus, that your hearts may be refreshed. Milk, milk, may you taste it in your shrine. We'll give you this milk, which comes from the great flood, O Yenushida. Drink and be pure. We give you incense. We give you incense, great purity. This incense is the eye of Horus. Its fragrance comes to you. It cleanses you. It adorns you. It takes its place upon your hands. This incense is the eye of Horus, O Yenushida. Its fragrance comes to you. Take this, your bread on which gods live. This bread is the eye of Horus, O Yenushida. Lift it to your faces and be at peace with it. The gardens prosper and Hapi rejoices, overflowing with his meal. We fill the eye of Horus for you with wine, O Ra, O Aset. Drink and be pure. The doors of heaven and the doors of earth are open with libations for you within this house. May your faces be refreshed with your libations, wine and water. Pure, pure is Ra Horaketi within his house. Pure, pure is Aset, and her aspect is subject within her house. Pure are the cause of all of these gods, this good myrrh that is given. Jehuti proclaims it. It is written in his house of sacred words. Hapi gives in abundance, thousands of offerings, all things good and pure. For Ra Horaketi, for Aset, and every place that their immortal cause dwell. Come to your body, O Ra Horaketi. Come to your body, O Aset. Come to your bodies, O Yenushida, and come to your invocation. Come unto us, your servants, who are mindful of your feasts and your offerings. Bring your power, your hika, your honor, and your ba to these your offerings, and partake of them. Come, O people, raise these offerings before the faces of these gods. Lift the offerings before Ra, before Aset. All life comes from them. All health comes from them. All stability comes from them. All good fortune comes from them, as it has since the first time. Ra Horaketi, and your son, the Osu Nisu Nebkepra Ra. Your foes retreat from you. Horus turns himself to his eye. Turn yourselves to these, your offerings, and receive them from our hands. There we go. And now, from the table of the gods to the table of the blessed dead, we light this candle, that it may be the eye of Horus that lights their way and beyond. And we pour these cool waters from the table of Osiris, that their hearts may be refreshed. Orkeru tahenket kakao abdu senachmerhat kutnibet nofrahwabet anket nacharim and kawen aku punibu makeru nibu hiranachara. A voice offering, bread and beer, 1,000 of beef and fowl, incense, oils, and all good and pure things on which a god lives, for the cause of all of these aku, all true of voice, before the great God. All right. Just to make sure. And now we come unto you, O Ra, as Jayuti comes, our hands joined under Ma'at. Ma'at has come to be with you in every place where you are. An offering of Ma'at is made unto you, that your heart may be pleased and your cause shall live. Truly, your Enid has Ma'at, for they know you live in her. The Enid says unto you, your word is law eternally. The sped is cast out by your word. Rejoicing is yours every day. Ma'at has taken her place in your shrine. And may we always act with gentility and compassion, for such is the first Ma'at. May we always offer charity and hospitality, for such is the second Ma'at. May we always respect consent and fidelity, for such is the third Ma'at. May we always avoid violence and promote wellness, for such is the fourth Ma'at. May we always speak words of truth, for such is the fifth Ma'at. May we always promote the public good, for such is the sixth Ma'at. May we always act humbly and with temperance, for such is the seventh Ma'at. May we always honor our gods and respect others, for such is the eighth Ma'at. May we uphold Ma'at like Jehuti, that we may witness Ra's perfection every day. Okay, I'm going to catch up with the comments here real quick. Okay. All right. So Kid Fox is saying in Utah is 106 according to truck thermometer. Oh, poor Vespers. Every time I'm late because I forget to keep checking is it up. Yeah, well, usually our target is always 8:30, but usually it ends up being closer to 9 o'clock. So if that helps any.
You didn't miss much.
Yeah. And we've got the icons for bread and beer, beef and fowl. That's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, and hopefully by this point the algorithms on YouTube are figuring out. When we put some of those little icons, yeah, we're not trying to harass anybody. It's all following along with the offerings. Okay, and Jeremy Fiolik, this is the first service I've attended. What are these services usually for, and what do they cover? Awesome question. Meanwhile, Mario is 1 week away from a trip to Egypt. I'm freaking out. Oh man,
Good for you,
that
Mario.
Take lots of pictures.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, that's
Eat lots of food that you would never touch.
Actually, you know what?
Enjoy yourself.
Yeah. Oh, I should have grabbed the bag. Things that I've heard about that they have in Egypt, and Mario, you can check those out. I've heard that they actually have a lot of burger places there, and it's all like, you know, not like McDonald's or whatever. No, it's Egyptian burgers, and they season them with Middle Eastern seasonings, and they're
They
foodies.
sound amazing.
Yeah, they're foodies that write blogs about this in Cairo. So, check that out. That sounds awesome. And also, the Middle Eastern grocery store here carries chips that are actually from Egypt. Tiger Excellence, I think, is the brand, but they have flavors like, what was one of them? Like sweet Thai chili.
The sweet Thai chili was good.
But my favorite is lemon and coriander.
Or lime and coriander.
Or excuse me, yeah. Well, okay, yeah, lime and coriander.
Those are amazing.
Oh my god, I had to get a bag just for me and a bag just for Darren, and I wanted to get a bag to offer, but they didn't last long enough. So they're just that good. I'm not really a chip person, but those were like amazing, because I think they do something different. They like marinate them or something, but just the different flavors that you wouldn't
Better
think they
than
have.
Pringles, huh?
Oh, like Adios Lays, Adios, the rest of them. This was like fantastic. So eat lots of good food while you're there. But as for our services, what we do is, Friday nights is kind of when we started doing this. We started during the pandemic, so that we, just be able to do something good in the world, and we've managed to keep this going for the last 3 years.
Well, what's it for?
And it's awesome. Well, it's honoring the deities. We give offerings, and we read prayers and hymns, and if people have prayer requests, we include those, and so it's a chance for us Egyptian pagans to, be able to tune in and, have a ritual, a worship service, and I'll be part of it too.
And if I may do so, I want to add that all of the prayers and the things that we do are academically based. You should see this woman's scholarly library. It's impressive, to say the least.
Yeah.
None of this is, quote, made up on the spot at all.
Well, and of course, I don't have the opportunity to go to, a university that has a program and study, but I do everything short of that I can. And there are other folks that tune in. We have a new friend from Germany. Of course, for her, it's like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning right now. But she actually has a master's in Egyptology, and, there are folks that have an education in it. Of course, it's real hard to find a job, with that, unless you end up going on to, stay in the academic world. But a lot of folks are like, yeah, this is legit. I'm not finding anything that blatantly conflicts with something that
it's academically based, and there is no
what you like to call the ooba dooba. So.
There is no ooba dooba, nor is there any racial profiling involved either.
Right. Okay, Marty says their burgers are super nice. Hash shawarma is great. I had some in Midtown. Well, that's because you're in New York or those parts. So yeah, you've got more folks, because a lot of folks from the Middle East and other places, they come in Jersey and New York first. So
yeah, well, that's where they come in country.
Yeah. Even our friends that are from the Middle East that live down here, they came here via New Jersey. So yeah.
Man, I wish they were open after service.
Yeah. That's the other thing. I wish more places would stay open late, especially when it's so hot, because when it's baking like this, it's better to go do things later at night when it's cooler. I was the weirdo last night that was mixing concrete to put in the driveway at midnight. So, then I came out later today to say, okay, could I really see what I was doing? Did this pour right? For the most part, it did. I think it would have helped if I could have, put a spotlight on it. But anyway, so hopefully that answers your question. Now, at this point, after we've done our offerings, and of course, like the 8 months, that's kind of extrapolating from the 42 negative confessions and kind of summing it up into something a little shorter. But also, 8 is a significant number because, for one, it's a double of 4, which is a number of totality or completion. But also, you had the 8 primeval ones in the Thebes and the town that's now referred to as Hermopolis, but it was the hometown of Thoth, and the creation story there involved 8 primeval gods, and the one that broke the stasis was Amun, of course. So we figured 8 was a good number to work with. So, and now because we're honoring Isis, since her aspect as the star Sirius is going to be coming up very soon. We'll read for her. And then if anybody's got prayer requests, of course, this would be where you would include those. Now, I have a very limited number of cookies right now. We're going to have to get some more later in the week. But in the meantime, it'll be kind of we'll do them until we run out. So, if you can hold off on your question, or, if you've got something that's just like a yes or no, we might be able to handle that. So, but first, okay, here we go. Yes, and probably one of the things that I refer to most frequently in services is my last book, Celebrating the Egyptian Gods, because you have as many deities as I could find sources for hymns and prayers for, all put together in alphabetical order. Now I've got some new ones since then, but this, I pull it up, and because it's alphabetical, it makes it easier to find, and that's been a lifesaver. So we're going to read from here for Isis. Isis. She is the one who pours out the inundation, which makes all people live and green plants grow, who provides sacred offerings for the gods and voice offerings for the Akh spirits, because she is Lady of Heaven. Her husband is Lord of Duat, and her son is Lord of the land. Her husband is the pure water, renewing himself at Biga at his time. She is Lady of Heaven, Earth, and Duat, having brought them into being through what her heart conceived and her hands created. She is the Ba, which is in every city, watching over her son Horus and her brother Osiris. Pardon me just a second. Okay. Vesper saying, I think of coriander as cilantro that bolted, because that is what it did every time I tried to grow it. Well, actually, what I found out is that cilantro, we think of it as being something for hot weather because, how it gets used in food. But actually, it grows better in cooler weather. So I had the same problem a lot. But if you start it earlier when it's still cool, like in the springtime, then, like March or April, then you'll actually get some cilantro leaves. And don't try and grow it during the summer because all it'll do is bolt. But Irelby says, prayers for Adonis, a 12-week-old French bulldog puppy that's not doing well.
Aww.
Absolutely. And
Sarana
Hollis, I happen to be doing affirmations at the moment. We ran out of cookies, so would we like affirmations for the rest? Sure. Oh, poor sarcastic YouTube. Why? Dang thing didn't tell me y'all are live. Yeah, it's delayed. It does that. Oh, okay. And Sabakakaway, Sharon, your fortune cookie says a change in scenery is just what you need. Thanks. That sounds like some good advice. But of course, Darren's been saying, "Man, we need a vacation."
Yeah, not that we can afford one, but we sure do need one.
Well, it probably wouldn't take much, but I'm just like, we got to go someplace different because I'm tired of driving to Baton Rouge. I hate Baton Rouge. Or at least,
Baton Rouge is no vacation.
right? Yeah. Well, Baton Rouge is really not as different from where we are as some people would like to think, but
Right. And I only want to go to New Orleans when I can go to one particular place and blow an obscene amount of cash.
Okay, and it's sarcasm. So subscribe. I have all notifications on what. Oh, I'd love to be able to come to Utah.
Oh.
Yeah. Huh. The poor sarcastic. It says it hasn't been notifying me of lives until after they're done lately. That's something. It sounds like something we're going to have to work on because I had a cousin that tuned into a broadcast last month and was like, "Oh, well, I'm looking at your stats. You totally need to optimize," and then rattled off something that's like a paid service, and I'm like, but I know we've got some really tech savvy folks here that we could, I'm sure if we put our heads together, we could try and work on things like this. Jeremy, you live in Washington area. Yes. Now, are you talking about Washington State or Washington D.C.? And okay, and prayers for my 17-week appointment on Tuesday, please. Okay.
Yay.
Oh, and yeah, Washington State. Sarcastic is also in the same area. So actually, there's several folks, I believe. So, yeah, you got some folks you can totally hook up with. All right. So, Miss Jacqueline in Discord would like a cookie, and Kit Fox, has an appointment. Talking about people that we've been praying for. Kit Fox and Seba Kekaway have been struggling to conceive, and they have a little one on the way, and so that appointment is coming up. So absolutely, we will say, of course, to Mama Aset, she knows what that's like, and so we ask her to continue to bless Kit Fox and their little one that's on the way and is expected sometime in December. And we also ask Tauret, the great lady. And it's kind of difficult to find historical prayers for her, but Hail, O Tauret, Nacherita, Uretaka, great goddess, great of magic. Hail, O great lady. And please be with Kit Fox and Seba Kekaway as they continue on this journey to become parents. And this is something that they have prayed earnestly for so long. And may their greatest hopes be fulfilled. And also to Anubis, because we have a bulldog puppy that someone is trying to look after. And we ask you, Anubis, in your aspect as a healer, great physician who heals, your seal is our protection. May it be protection for Adonis, the puppy, so that he can continue to serve you here on this side and give lots of people licks and sniffs and cold noses. Because surely that is the sign of your folk. And since Mrs. Jackal had asked for a fortune, let's see, we have, how many have we got here? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we've got about a dozen. So we can do about a dozen fortunes, and then after that,
Test your might. Cookie combat.
Well, if I get a little bit better at playing, a stringed instrument on the spot, I might, start playing things, and whoever can guess it gets a cookie. Not quite there yet. I was able to pull off one, but working on expanding my repertoire. But here's for Mrs. Jackal. You cannot teach a person anything. You can only help them to discover it within themselves. So that is for Mrs. Jackal. You cannot teach a person anything. You can only help them to discover it within themselves. That's actually also a line in somewhere in one of my Enigma albums at the very end. Says there's no teacher who can teach us anything new. He can only help us to remember the things that we always knew. But gosh, I think I mentioned Enigma, and you start to get sleepy, huh? No? Okay.
I wish it were that simple.
Okay. All right. Because don't play Enigma on a long car ride unless you're prepared for your passengers to fall asleep, because that always happens to me. Okay, so that's one.
We can have a super thanks competition.
Okay, I see this. Okay, so Juniper, and then Kyle Hinojosa. Okay, so Vesper says, so not cookie, but if time later on, perhaps some advice on interpreting something. Sure. And definitely another thing is we have a Discord server that's like a an extension of our little community here, and so we'll put a link for you. So if you want to join in, if you're not there already. And Sarah says, may I get a cookie? I just left my daughter's father, and I'm scared he's going to make me lose her. Oh.
We don't have any cookies, but people could ask yes or no questions.
Yeah, well, we have a limited number of cookies, so it's kind of first come, first served, but that one would do.
Cookie.
Yeah.
That one deserves a cookie.
Yes. Okay, and here, let me see if I can actually pull that up real quick. So I can switch to another window. Do that real quick. Okay. Okay, so we're starting with Juniper, and then Kyle Hinojosa, and then Sarah. So that's for Juniper. Juniper, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. All that we are is the result of what we have thought.
Now, is this for the lady that asked the question?
No, that's for Juniper. Those are for our first one. We're doing this in order.
No.
Now you're talking about Sarah, who had the or are you talking about the one who Vesper, who wants a something answered later on?
No, talking about the one that's concerned about losing her child.
Sarah.
Yes.
Okay, so you had some.
She must have one.
Yeah. She's next. We're doing Kyle Hinojosa and then Sarah.
Okay.
So we're gonna keep track of this. So this is for file. Where did it land? Okay, here we are. Okay. Kyle Hinojosa. Action is the basis of success. Action is the basis of success. So
Is this for?
no, this is for Kyle Hinojosa.
Okay.
And now we're getting to Sarah. And yes, we're definitely concerned and want to help with this issue with leaving somebody and trying to make sure you don't lose custody. So we'll start with the cookie, and then Darren, I think you wanted to add some things after that, right?
Maybe.
Okay. Yes, and of course, because of the way the room is set up, Darren can't be in camera, but he's always supporting us and with us during services. And this wouldn't be the same without you. So Sarah. Your mind is original, creative, and alert.
In other words, pay attention. Don't doubt yourself. But don't minimize what you see happening around you either. Listen, it is very important that you be the nasty parent first. You go file whatever charges, get a lawyer, do whatever you got to do first. Don't wait for him, because the judge is going to look at it like, well, he filed first. Surely you must be in the wrong.
So you basically have to beat them to the punch.
Yes, be shitty. You can be kind to your child later.
Well, actually, it's to be kind to the child, but be that way. Be a snot to the ex.
Be a snot to the ex, because you have a life to live and you have two responsibilities, and I can't stress this enough. One is to be good to your child, but the other one is, in order to be truly good to your child, you had better be good to yourself.
Yeah,
because you can't run on an empty battery.
Yeah, well, that and when you're bad to yourself, kids learn that.
Yeah, and look, it doesn't matter what you tell them. They see more than you ever think they see, and they hear more than you ever think they hear.
Okay, and Serranos, I might do something for you, Sarah. I'm going through something similar. So yeah, and hey, that's one of the things that I love about this is when people are able to say, oh, hey, well, you live in the same state I do, or oh, you're going through something similar. Let me help. That's what this is about.
Yeah, that's called family.
Yeah. Oh, and Lycan says it's true, Darren. I miss the weeks when you're gone.
Oh, I love you too.
Mm-hmm.
So much. I wish you guys knew.
Okay. All right, Sarcastic. I think I gotta go. I have the grandpa over. Thanks. So we'll much
Hey,
love,
so
Sarcastic.
congratulations, man.
Yeah, big hugs for grandpa.
Celebrate. We love you, and you're welcome back.
Yeah. Okay.
Be well.
All right, so okay, yeah, that'll be on Discord for yours if we've got time, Vesper. Okay, so Vesper had a question that on Discord afterward wanted to ask about.
So, what does that mean for me?
It means that well, what it means is after this, I'm going to be trying to jump onto Discord to see what's up with the conversation there. But then we'll go, if you want.
Yeah, so are you telling me stick around?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
But Mary Wet asked for a request, and we've still got some. And Mario wanted to know if we're doing yes or no questions. I'd like to ask if Kanoom would like me to 3D print him a statue.
I can answer that for you.
Yeah.
No need to venerate someone you spend so much time with. Don't trouble yourself. Absolutely, go ahead.
Actually, you know what, Mario? How tall are you making them? Because Kanoom statues are kind of hard to get a hold of. So I would say print too. Figure out how much it costs. You might have some people want to buy some from you.
Yeah.
But all right. So Mary Wet. And Serrana also asked for one earlier. Okay, so I tell you what, our Married Wet Wet and then Serrana.
Canoom, does that answer your question regarding the print?
Because actually we have now have a towelette, and here that's 3D printed and a little standing Sekhmet that you can't see because she's kind of behind everybody, but both of them 3D printed from another one of our lovely people. So, it's becoming a thing now. So why not? So this was from Married Wet Wet, who's tuning in from England, so it's very late where you are. Okay. People learn little from success, but much from failure. People learn little from success, but much from failure.
I'll debate you on that.
Well, I'll say this: success is an opportunity. If you can, the more you can learn from it, the better you can make yourself. But that is the greatest value of if something fails, you learn from it, and then eventually it's no longer a failure.
Well, that's if you give yourself the time and space to learn from failure. When we learn from failure, typically in hindsight,
Yeah.
because it stings too much in the immediate.
Well, okay, real quick, and we'll move on. But I'll tell you this: a good example of people who don't learn from success. My father's business. Okay, because it's successful enough that it keeps him going. Never mind the fact that they waste more money and more materials because of the way that they do things than he'd ever really think about, because it's not biting him. So why? What is there to learn from?
Right.
Just as a way of example.
Right.
So this is wise is the person who can still learn plenty from success, but because they say, well, you know what? How can I do this better? And hopefully this gives you some insight, Married Wet. We're always rooting from you, and we don't want you to feel that you failed at anything, but learning opportunities are always good. And it's not a permanent failure as long as you keep trying.
Right.
Speaking as someone who's worked on projects, for the better part of 2 decades to get them done, you're not a failure until you quit trying. So now for Serrana. The greatest test of courage on earth is to bear defeat without losing heart. Wow. The greatest test of courage on earth is to bear defeat without losing heart.
Kind of leads into just what Darren was saying.
Yeah, but and what we're saying about don't give up. You are not a failure until you stop trying. But I can also say I totally understand having points where you just have to stop and sit down and cry a minute. And then after you've gotten that out, then put yourself back together, get up and say, all right, how am I going forward? Because it's human and it's normal to, stop and reel from the blow for a minute, because that's been me recently on things. So, this coming from us out here, I guess the greatest test of courage on earth is to bear defeat without losing heart. Okay. Oh, and like I got a new printer today. Awesome. And okay, and Margaret's saying, hit me up if you're looking for some files. And you know what? Well, like I said, whenever Morgan gets back over here, I'm gonna show him the ones that we've got. Kind of try to make him jealous and kind of put a bug on him to, hey, start printing some things. But and I like what Sarana's saying here. As someone that struggles with learning from failure, learning to cope with failure and rejection is a skill and a muscle that you build over time. Reframing is your greatest tool.
Yep.
Attitude is everything, and reframing is how you change your attitude.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Well put.
Professionally put, if I might say so.
Yeah.
Absolutely, positively correct.
Yes. Well said, Sarana. And
Yes.
I can tell that comes from the wisdom of experience.
No doubt.
So. And that's what part of the reason why we do this. So, I tell you what, we have a handful more. So if we've got some more requests, then just put those up, and I will read another prayer or two for everyone before we wrap this up. There we go. And I do see one here. So that's for Kit Fox. Okay, so hold on. O Ra, O Aset, may you grant life, prosperity, and health, alertness, favors, and affection. May our eyes see you every day as ones righteous who set you in their hearts. Supply our needs of bread and drink, and guard our mouths in speaking. Come to us and give us counsel. Make us heedful of your wisdom. When one appeals to you, you come from afar. Lend your ears to the lonely and the poor. May you give breath to those who are wretched, and bread to those who have none. Guardians of the weak, may you set the oppressed free, and let your blessings surpass all wealth. Okay, and we had a request for Kit Fox. Your mentality is alert, practical, and analytical. What's interesting is that was the one that we got, at the end of the year. So that's kind of reinforcing that message for you. But also a good thing to be alert, practical, and analytical.
Yeah, I think I received that too.
Okay, and yes, Jeremy, like this. All right, so yeah, and certainly, since this is your first time, absolutely, we're happy to pull a cookie for you.
Did we do one for the whole group?
You know what? We need to do that. Yes. While we still have some, we need to do one for everybody.
Yes, the general cookie.
Yeah. Well, that's especially for the folks that catch us later on, because there are folks that they'll catch the service afterwards, during the weekend. So, okay. So, Jeremy, prosperity belongs to those who can learn new things the fastest. Prosperity belongs to those who can learn new things the fastest.
She's saying a lot of pay attention, basically.
And do. The overwhelming message here is do.
Yeah, well, be alert, look for opportunities, and when you see them, take them.
Yes. Act.
So let's see what the general message here is for everyone. And so for anyone who might be, tuning in and watching this, after the fact, we appreciate your patience up to this point, and your patience is about to be rewarded with our message for everyone. Pleasant experiences make life delightful. Painful experiences lead to growth. So this is for everyone. Pleasant experiences make life delightful. Painful experiences lead to growth. But notice both of those have value here, because it's easy, especially if you tend to worry about what's ahead. You might worry about the painful experiences, but don't forget the pleasant ones too. Pleasant experiences are what make life good, and the painful ones are the ones that lead you to growth. So, what, Darren? I need to shake it from you.
Of course not.
What are you thinking?
That's just something to keep in mind.
Huh? What I just said
what
about
they just said. I mean, it's important. What they're really saying is, charge headlong. Bad is going to happen, but so is good. Learn from both and suck the good stuff up.
Yep.
Don't worry. Go for it.
Oh, okay. Sarah says, I have an affirmation for Sarah. I will be a burden and a pest as long as it takes to get what I want and need. Don't be afraid to lean on others, and if you feel like you're a burden, embrace it. Yet another message from Aset, and her name is on the affirmation because she had to beg to make sure Horace had what he needed.
And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. The most, one of the things that we don't teach in the world anymore is there is a time when you bear the load for others, but it's okay to let people bear the load for you.
Yeah.
They're going to help with some things so you can do what you need to be doing. And don't be ashamed of it. You'll repay it.
Yeah. Oh, and Demetrius has a question. Can you explain to me how you worship daily? What's God's for each day? Yes, and Serena had answered. Yeah, it's not like in other forms of paganism that you might be more familiar with, and actually things that are kind of embedded in our culture. Because Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that draws from Germanic deities.
Right.
But the days of the week weren't named in Egyptian system. Actually, you had like days 1 through 30 on the calendar, but that's something kind of complicated, and even there's a lot they're not really sure about. But basically, it's more about what deities you feel close to and you want to work with, and you may be busy and only be able to say a few quick prayers on a given day. That's why we have the service on Fridays. Is once a week we're able to do something a little more formal, because this is more of a formal rite. There's quick ones that I have in the other books that I've written. If you check the description, I've got a link to my most recent book. But you should be able to go from there on Lulu and find the other ones that I've written. But this is something that we do once a week, and of course the patrons of this temple are Ra-Horeketi, Sekhmet, and Tutankhamun as sort of like a patron saint. He's referred to as the Osiris, the king Nebuchadnezzar. But we have basically, I look at what on one of the historical calendars that the records of feast days, what feast days are close to this Friday. And that's how we try and schedule it out. It's like, well, on this weekend, that's when you would have, the emergence of Sirius, which is associated with Isis. So that's what we're doing this week. Next week, we'll be doing something different. And I did manage to put a calendar together. It's on the website, so let me give you a link to that real quick. And that way you can kind of see what we're going to be doing up ahead.
Right.
Oh, and actually, hold on just a minute because I've got to switch. To the other browser.
Take your time.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Because I was okay. Kemetic Reform Calendar for 2023 through 24. Here we go. Yes, and right now we're doing Paris Update Observed, and next Friday we'll be doing a Going Forth of Hathor, and also honoring Tefnut because at Esna there was a feast for Tefnut. So
See, there's a reason for everything I do.
yeah. So here we go. There we go. That is our calendar. Okay, like in my tradition, I worship the 12 Olympians over the whole week, for example. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Happy to help. And if anybody's got other questions, you are welcome to toss those up there. So in the meantime, yeah, it's about 1 hour. We try and keep it, about an hour and 15 minutes seems to be our average. So it's certainly more fun than sitting and trying not to fall asleep in a church. So.
Although I do manage to fall asleep in here a lot because Mama Sekhmet tends to tackle me.
Mm-hmm.
Especially on days when I'm in a lot of pain.
Well, I think that's how she works on you. Well, see, for me, the tough thing growing up was okay. We would get up Sunday morning, and it's early in the morning, and I'd rather be sleeping anyway. Then eat a sugary breakfast of French toast, with lots of syrup, wash it down with milk, then go sit in a quiet service and try to stay awake. Good luck. Actually, the tough thing for me is that, there are these hard wooden pews, so I'd be like not fully asleep, but wanting to be so bad that it was just like, that was between that and after a sugary breakfast like that, being so thirsty by the time I got to church that, I wanted to like go stick my face in the bowl for dipping your hands in the water, because I was just thirsty. But yeah, I'll take our cool waters any day. Okay. Okay, Jefferson. I hate to leave early, but my roommates need me, so I have to leave for today. Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, come back anytime.
Yeah. Come again. Yes, come again anytime. Thank you. And have a great weekend. So, hail unto you, Atum. Hail unto you, Capri. You come into being upon the primeval hill. You shine forth upon the shrine of the phoenix in Yunu. You breathe out Shu and Tefnut. May the giving of these offerings endure, as the name of Atum, foremost of the great Enid, endures. May they endure as the name of Shu, Lord of Upper Menset in Yunu, endures. As the name of Tefnut, Mistress of Lower Menset in Yunu, endures. As the name of Geb at the Earth's Ba endures. As the name of Nut in the Shrine of Shanit in Yunu, endures. As the name of Osir, Kentiamentiu, endures. As the name of Asat in Nesheru endures. As the name of Sutek in Nubet endures. As the name of Horus in Pei endures. As the name of Wajit in Dep endures. As the name of Jehuti in Kamenu endures. As the name of Ra in the Akhet endures likewise for eternity. You have come in peace, O Ra. You have come in peace, O Aset. You have come in peace, O Yenecheru. May you go forth in peace, O Ra, O Aset. May you go forth in peace, O Yenecheru. to every place your immortal cause wish to be. May you sail in joy in the manjet bark, and rest content in the sectet bark. And may you smile upon us, your humble servants. All right. Okay, and Demetrius was saying, yes, if you're interested in Greco-Roman polytheism, I know there are groups like Neos Alexandria that they do a lot of work with that. And we've got folks between the Facebook group and here that do a lot of blending and like on the calendar I mentioned when the birth of Antinous is, because his birthday is kind of a minor feast day, for folks. But question: from day to day, do you worship Ra in the morning? Like in my tradition, Homer makes a note of pouring libations before bed, and Hesiod mentions libations before breakfast and at sunset. Well, you can do things like that if you want to. Actually, and in Circle of the Sun, I mentioned things like we have lunar observances that we do on for certain phases of the moon, and the folks on Discord do that. When it's time. So we've got that's on the calendar. Day to day, you can say, an address to, of course, Ra is the preeminent solar deity, but you've got quite a few of them. Hathor and Sekhmet and Horus are also, solar deities. So you can, if there's one that you work with, you can honor them in the morning. For me, especially because of the way my schedule tends to be, I'm honoring Ra and his aspect as a tomb in the evening more often. But he knows that's how I am. But it's sunrise somewhere. So there's different ways.
Looking at me like I did it, I'm like,
huh?
Looking at me like I did it, I'm like, what?
No. I said, well, you. I'm looking at you because you know because you hear things too. So.
Oh, I know.
Oh, Isabella, thank you. Absolutely. Yeah. But how are you, Isabella? We're wrapping up now, and okay, like I says, I do my daily rituals at night since I'm a night owl, and I know I won't be disturbed. Meanwhile, 7 o'clock, I'm outdoors all day and get plenty of Ra. Yes. And we hope that you're staying safe in this heat, because man, that's going to be this summer. I think we're supposed to be getting a little bit of a break, but the heat will be back soon. So my prayers for everyone to be safe and to feel the cool breath of the gods, and not get yourself in a dangerous spot. And so Kid Fox says, thank you, Sharon and Darren. You have a blessed week, and we will see you next Friday. Yes. And yeah. And the thing is, there's a lot to be said for who your personal deities are, because especially those of us that kind of get introduced to paganism through Wicca. It tends to be more of like a grab bag of, okay, well, you want to do this spell, then you're going to be invoking this deity. Well, the problem is, have you worked with them before? Do you really know? Whereas especially in ancient times, it would have been more based on who was the head deity of the town that you lived in, who were the deities of your family, and of course ancestors would have been an important part of that. So that's why the more you read about them, a lot of deities have kind of crossovers. And so, like Anubis, everybody knows him as the patron of embalming, but he also had roles related to healing and to initiations. And that's, I think, why a lot of people end up finding Anubis first. He's kind of initiating you into a new path. So whoever you're close with, don't be afraid to ask them for something or to invoke them at something that you don't think is necessarily their thing, because it might be. And even if not, you're still sharing your life with them, and they appreciate that. So,
Whenever you're looking for someone healing, the three deities that pop up immediately is Sekhmet,
mm-hmm.
And then as you were talking, Anubis, and then,
Isis is another.
And then there's Imhotep.
Yeah, but you also have actually Isis and Thoth is Jehuti as well, because medicine and medical science that falls under his domain. So you have lots of options for different kinds of things. So.
Yeah, and Hathor does some healing too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, and absolutely. Well, thank you for asking intelligent questions and for sticking around. That's we're happy to do that.
Yes, we love questions.
Yes, I guess that's not just praying. Yeah, and okay. I say in the early mornings, I usually pray to Helios, Eos, and Hemera. And yeah, Helios, especially in the Greek magical papyri, there's bleed over with Helios and either Ra or Horus, depending, So yeah, they were making equations way back then, so it's not that, it's not a leap. And Mary Webwhite is saying I have a lapis pendant that's that Webwhite chose, and I wear that's. With me wherever I go. That's pretty cool. And lapis is just cool. And I hate to end the stream if we're still talking and able to answer questions for somebody. And of course, you're welcome to join us on the Discord too.
You can find us on Facebook as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know Sarana is kind of in the middle of explaining something, so I'm going to give you, a few minutes to catch up, and that way, then hey, this is fun, So, what's the belief in having other gods like worshiping Greek and Egyptian, or is it most like? Okay.
Yep.
And okay, what's the belief in having other gods? You can have them, as many as you feel comfortable with, because like for example on this altar, we have kind of in the background here, you can't quite see her, but we have Inanna, aka Ishtar, and that's her star right here, and that's in Akkadian, and it says Ishtar. And of course, it helps that she was introduced to Egyptian practice in the New Kingdom. But there are people that have that honor Egyptian and Celtic deities. There are people that have Egyptian and Norse or Germanic deities. So it's and of course there's quite a few folks that do the Hellenistic thing with Egyptian and Greek, and there's plenty of historical precedent for that too. So you're
her aspect. Her name is Ustare too, wasn't it?
Oh, Astarte. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ishtar. She went from Inanna in Sumer to Ishtar in Akkadian, and then Astarte in Canaanite, and as Astarte and Anat, were they ended up marrying Set in Egyptian lore.
As daughters of Ra.
Yes. Yeah, so, and also, I have she's tucked in the back, but this postcard is for Kishimogen, who is the Japanese form of a Buddhist figure that goes all the way back to India, and I have her kind of behind the others, but that's goes back to my practice before I found Egyptian paganism, because I had a Japanese neighbor who's Buddhist, and She very much honored Kishimogen and credited Kishimogen with protecting her grandchildren, and had an interesting story about that. But so it's in polytheistic traditions, there's no sense of you should only worship these deities. These deities are bad. That's an innovation of monotheism. That would be the
You shall have no God before me. Yeah.
Yeah, which actually, when you think about that, what it's not saying that there are no gods. Although that commandment tends to get kind of watered or adulterated, because I'm sure in Sunday school you've heard it. You shall not worship false gods. That's not how it was actually worded. It originally said,
It originally said, "Thou shalt worship no
God
God before me,
for I am a jealous."
The word "before me" is everything before. Yeah. In other words, me first.
Right.
He never specific. He says, "I am a jealous God."
Mm-hmm. But that can get into some other things where
that's a very cloudy thing, and I say that as a Christian.
Yeah. But and studying the actual history of how Canaan evolved into Iron Age Israel, and the other states in the vicinity, that's kind of its own thing, and it's something I'm reading more about because it's very interesting, and I'm trying to kind of make sense of some things for myself. But in most practice, there are some people that have said, oh well the Egyptian deities don't get along with Celtic or Norse, but
I've never noticed that.
Yeah, well, like I say, some people have had that, but you know what? It may have had more to do with the people who were mixing and matching and what they were trying to do, because if you kind of cast a broader net and talk to more people, there are a lot of them that have concurrent practices with no conflict and no issue. So hopefully that answered some question.
And after all, we've been already set, it was associated with foreign peoples.
Yeah.
So, and the Egyptians obviously were a very inclusive type. They didn't necessarily see people as being, you could be all these various people and be an Egyptian. You just had to move in and accept Egyptian culture as your own.
Truth, justice, in the Egyptian way. Yeah.
Yeah.
But and we had someone who tuned in actually when we were observing the birthday of Set on the days on the year, and they had no idea what was going on, and they came from what sounds like it sounds like they might have been part of like Asar Set Society, which is a different thing entirely. But they were a little confused because in their tradition, Set is regarded as evil, and there are even some pagans that do. But most Kemetic Reconstructionists, and of course us being Kemetic Reform, so we're like a little looser than that. Still see Set as ambivalent, maybe, but not evil.
Yeah. I was going to say ambivalent.
Yeah, he can be a naughty boy sometimes, but but he's also very necessary.
Sobek, so yeah.
Yeah, so.
But what can be expected? They're natural forces.
Yeah. Yeah, and Serena is saying, planning on having a Misagami on my altar. That's really cool. Yeah, so, well, guys, if it's okay, I'm going to start to wrap it up.
Yeah, you gotta go say hi to the people on Discord.
Yeah, and Zavella said, talk to me first. I get teary when people, talk crap about him. Yeah,
Set is a very unique soul.
Mm-hmm. And another thing that I noticed is that he by his nature, he tends to invite controversy, and that's kind of part of who he is. So you kind of have to be aware of that. But
And sometimes he does it because if controversy is invited, you better look at the issue harder.
yeah, he does that to make you think.
Yeah.
And he'll do that to kind of I credit him with keeping me out of a group that I didn't need to be in.
He was a party boy, that's
well,
for sure.
Well, but he also likes to stir up trouble at the party too. But if he does it, it's for a reason. So yeah. Yes.
We're gonna have so many conversations.
Yeah. But, okay, so we're getting. Yes, and that's why you have Horus and Sets both purifying the king at certain points in the reliefs and stuff. Yeah, so. All right. But this has been an awesome night for learning and conversation. Thank you, guys. I'm trying to type and not, screw things out. Guys on Discord and continue the conversation. In the meantime,
They'll be able to continue to leave comments. They just won't have real time.
Right, yeah. So, and I am working on a new episode for this month. So that'll be up, next week, hopefully. So have not forgotten about that. And of course, we've got folks that are giving super thanks and they're going to get a shout out. Don't forget to like, all those good
Comment
things.
and subscribe.
Yeah.
Like, comment, subscribe. Join our Patreon, peeps.
Yes. And all that's in the links. Let's see.
We're here every Friday, barring something that happens.
Yes. Yes. Like pokes the algorithm overlords. Yeah. Join us next week.
Same cat time, same cat channel.
I like that. Yes. And oh goodness, I'm gonna knock something over here. Okay, I see what I did. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much. And I'm glad everyone had a good time.
Now we got to do a Chappelle and wrap it up.
Yeah. Yes. Much love, everybody.
We have to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Oh, you did wrap